Mr. Cooper learns that the man he believed was his father is not his biological father. Instead, the defendant, Mr. Newby, is alleged to be. Mr. Cooper's reaction reflects his shock and confusion about his identity and lineage. Grab some popcorn, because this roller coaster is just getting started.
Mr. Cooper, your mother recently came clean that the man you believe to be your dad is not your biological father, and the defendant is. Ms. Cooper, you say you held the secret for just too long, and you felt your son deserved to know that Mr. Newby is his father.
Did that really just happen? During a late-night call, Mr. Cooper's mother reveals a life-changing secret to him, that the man he thought was his father isn't, and points him towards Mr. Newby. This moment emphasizes the emotional weight of revealing such a secret and the impact it has on Mr. Cooper. The plot thickens, so stay tuned.
I get a call about 3 o'clock in the morning. My mama called and told me that the person she told me was my daddy and wasn't my father, that this gentleman was, and to go online and look him up.
And this is what your mother tells you?
I mean, she was like, don't be mad at her or whatever. A lot of things ran through my mind.
Like
I
what?
thought it was a joke, actually, honestly. I thought she was playing.
Because that was so far outside of your realm of thinking.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up. Ms. Cooper discloses that she did not realize she was pregnant until 5 months into her pregnancy, highlighting her naivety and the complexity of her situation as a teenager, unaware of her own body's changes. You won't want to miss what's next.
I didn't know I was pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant. I didn't know what pregnancy was. And then I had a teenage friend that was pregnant also at the time. And she was kind of the one that told me that she thought I might be pregnant too.
So you're so young that when you become pregnant, you don't even know.
Yes,
because you don't know you don't experience the changes in your body. You don't even know what's going on. A teen that says, I think you're pregnant too, and she was pregnant.
And the twists keep coming. The court learns that Ms. Cooper's mother assumed another young man was the father based on social interactions rather than truth, compounding the confusion and secrecy surrounding Mr. Cooper's paternity. Brace yourself. The next revelation is a doozy.
She just knew me and Mr. Newby to be just as friends. This other guy I went to the dance with, she just assumed that he was the father, and that's what she said it, and that's what it was.
She said it, and you did not contradict her, or you never mentioned Mr. Newby?
No, Your Honor.
And that goes back to that if you said Mr. Newby's name, you all would be separated. You would not be allowed to see him anymore.
Talk about a bombshell. Mr. Newby recounts his astonishment upon receiving a message about potentially being Mr. Cooper's father, a possibility he had never considered. This revelation underscores the sudden and profound challenges of unexpected paternity claims. Keep your eyes peeled. What happens next is jaw-dropping.
And then I text her back and she didn't say nothing. I said, you can't drop a bombshell on me like that. And I waited until she finally responded. Then I said, does he know this? I said, because how could I be the father? I never seen you pregnant.
You never saw her pregnant?
No, Your Honor.
How is it, she said when she went back to school, she had gained 2 sizes. You weren't in school when...
We didn't participate at the same school.
This just gets more tangled. Mr. Newby expresses his disbelief, having never seen Ms. Cooper pregnant, which highlights the separation and lack of communication that contributed to the paternity confusion. You'll be on the edge of your seat with the next bit.
You submitted that message to the court. This message says, you know what I gotta tell you, some real life. This is your son.
That's the first time I heard anything about this in 34 years.
What did you do at that point that you got the message?
I was just stunned, so I kept asking her questions. I asked her, does he know about this? How could I be the father? I mean, I never seen her pregnant. We all was kids. We all was messing with each other and all that kind of stuff back in the day.
Heartstrings are definitely being tugged here. Mr. Newby reflects on the missed opportunities and the impact of not being a part of Mr. Cooper's life, illustrating the emotional depth and regret involved in these revelations. Hold on to your socks because the results are coming up.
He'll never get to know what a great man my father was. It's kind of hit me a little.
I mean, I think...
A little more than it was hitting me. It's hit me a little bit more because I think back how my father raised me and how he treated my grandkids and stuff like that. Hit me. I'm just thinking about how my dad would have loved him and how he would have loved my dad.
The big reveal is finally here. The DNA test results reveal that.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Newby, you are not the father.
Can you handle this drama? Ms. Sanchez presents her case, stressing the importance of the DNA results to validate the paternity of her son, which she believes is essential for advancing her spiritual marriage to a legal one with Mr. Turman. She emotionally conveys that these results could potentially save their troubled relationship, which has been marred by accusations and mistrust. And just when you think it can't get any more intense, it does.
Ms. Sanchez, you say today's DNA results mean everything. You are spiritually married to the defendant, but claim his denial denial that he fathered your 8-month-old son has stopped him from legally marrying. You need paternity proof to save this relationship.
This part is a real jaw-dropper. Mr. Turman expresses his doubts about being the father of Mrs. Sanchez's son, attributing his hesitation to legally marry her to these uncertainties and her alleged dishonesty. This moment underscores the deep-rooted issues of trust that are holding back their relationship, emphasizing the emotional and legal stakes involved in the outcome of the paternity test. Brace yourself, because the plot thickens right after this.
You doubt you are Jordan's father and say your marriage is not a real legal marriage, and it won't be unless Ms. Sanchez stops lying to you. So, Ms. Sanchez, why is today's result so important to you?
It's important to me to save my marriage with my husband because this has gone on for 2 years of accusations and lies, the fact that he doesn't trust me.
You won't see this one coming. The couple recounts their initial encounter via Tinder, which quickly led to a physical relationship on their first night of meeting. This backstory provides insight into the spontaneous beginnings of their relationship, setting the stage for ongoing trust issues highlighted by a humorous interaction with the judge regarding their swift connection. Wait till you see what's up next. It's a real cliffhanger.
We met on Tinder, and I'm swiping, and I came across her profile, and I super like. So super like is when it goes directly to them, so they know somebody likes you. So she liked me back, we connected. We were supposed to hang out first night. She declined because she was with somebody else she met from Tinder. So the second night is when we actually hung out. She came over, we had some drinks, one thing led to another, and we had sex the first night.
The first night you met?
Yes.
Here's where things get spicy. Mr. Turman details a confrontation that added to his suspicions about Ms. Sanchez's fidelity. He describes how a friend warned him about her reputation, which was a pivotal moment that further fueled his doubts about the paternity of the child and the sincerity of their relationship. Just when you think you've heard it all, the next segment adds more fuel to the fire.
That's where a lot of the trust issues came in because I'm thinking one way, she's thinking another way. I showed my friends pictures of her because I'm hyped, and they send me a video like, yo, isn't this the girl you're talking to? She's at a bar giving somebody else her number. So it just started to form like issues with trust. That we met, then she probably could have slept with him the first night.
Things are heating up. A dramatic revelation occurs when Mr. Turman finds men's boxers in the trunk of their car, leading to a tense exchange in court. This incident is significant as it physically manifests the trust issues plaguing their relationship, bringing a tangible element into the disputes over fidelity and honesty. Up next, things get even more tangled.
We went to the grocery store, came back, so I go to the trunk to get the groceries or whatever, and I find men's boxers in the trunk. Now, I know for sure these aren't mine. I'm like, whose are these? These are not mine.
What?
So
Jerome, I don't even know if I want to see that
happened.
evidence, though.
They wash it? Yeah, I'll get it.
This next bit will keep you guessing. As they discuss potential conception dates, the couple delves into the specifics of their sexual encounters and the possible implications on the paternity of the child. This technical discussion highlights the complexity and emotional weight of their situation, with Mr. Turman clinging to every piece of evidence to justify his doubts. Fasten your seatbelts because there's more drama ahead.
When is Jordan's birthday?
His birthday is July 9th.
And then I'll press calculate. Sex likely between October 15th and October 21st, 2017.
exactly, the date my friend seen her at the bar talking to the guys. I think it's possible that she went home with that guy and like me and her had sex on the first night. Could have been the same situation.
I never slept with that person.
Prepare for a bombshell. The court session reaches a peak when Ms. Sanchez admits to using hurtful tactics and arguments, revealing her intent to upset Mr. Turman by claiming he was not the father during a heated moment. This confession exposes the depth of their personal conflicts and the destructive patterns in their relationship. Don't go anywhere. The ultimate reveal is just around the corner.
You could hurt him a lot of other ways, with a lot of other words. Then the baby isn't yours. Have you really prepared yourself either way? This is a beautiful baby. 8 months, you say you're involved, you're on the birth certificate. With all of this, you still marched your little self in there and signed that birth certificate.
I did. You know, I want a family. I want that whole lifestyle. I love her. But if he's not mine, I just don't see myself moving forward, not having that trust in our situation.
And now for the grand finale. The episode concludes with the judge revealing the DNA results, confirming.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Turman, you are the father.
Buckle up, because here we go. Mr. Montgomery kicks off the episode with a bombshell, proclaiming his belief that he is the biological father of Ms. Parker's 3-month-old Timothy. He wasn't just a bystander at the birth. He named the baby and signed the birth certificate. Plot twist, Ms. Parker now claims her fiancé, Mr. Lanou, is actually the daddy, and the plot thickens. Just wait for what's coming up next.
Mr. Montgomery, you say Ms. Parker led you to believe that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Timothy Montgomery. You say you were present at the birth, named the baby, signed the birth certificate, but now Ms. Parker says you're not the father.
Hold on to your popcorn. Things are getting spicy. The judge listens intently as Ms. Parker expresses her eagerness to erase Mr. Montgomery's name from the birth certificate, fully convinced that Mr. Lanou is the real father. She's banking on today's DNA test to kick Mr. Montgomery to the curb officially. Brace yourself. The emotional roller coaster is just taking off.
Ms. Parker, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Montgomery is not your son's biological father because your fiance, Mr. Lanou, is. Today's DNA test will finally allow you to get rid of Mr. Montgomery and allow you to remove his name from your son's birth certificate.
This next scene tugs at the heartstrings. Mr. Montgomery passionately recounts his deep involvement during Ms. Parker's pregnancy, believing wholeheartedly that he is Timothy's father. From prenatal appointments to emotional support, he was all in, even naming the boy after his late father. Don't go anywhere. The drama escalates quickly from here.
I believe I'm the father because, I loved her. Me and her were together. We were sexually active, without a shadow of a doubt. I just believe, she allowed me to sit there and sign the birth certificate.
Because
she allowed me to name
your
the son after my deceased father.
Why would you allow him to do all of these things? At that time, did you or did you not believe he was Timothy's
I thought he was the father.
Things are heating up. As the argument between Mr. Montgomery and Ms. Parker escalates, the judge steps in to cool down the flaring tempers, reminding everyone to keep their eyes on the prize, figuring out who Timothy's father is. You won't want to miss what's revealed next.
You crying on a woman who's with another man, right?
I didn't have, if you would have stepped up and been there and actually satisfied her needs, you couldn't have if I was.
Let's get some order. Calm down. You have to talk one at a time. I can't hear you, but you're not gonna clown up in here. I am going to ask questions. I need to get the answers because ultimately there is a child on the line. We're trying to figure out who Timothy's father is.
You thought it was juicy before? Just wait. It comes out that Mr. Montgomery was blissfully unaware of Ms. Parker's side dalliance with Mr. Lanou, which was happening right under his nose during her relationship with him. This bombshell raises massive questions about the child's paternity and Ms. Parker's credibility. The saga continues, and it's more tangled than ever.
You were sleeping with Ms. Parker while Mr. Montgomery would be in the house.
Upstairs in the shower. I even told him that we were sleeping together, and all he did, we was
I
face
did.
to face, and all he did was walk to the stairs, sit down, and cry. Name a date, name a place. If you got a problem, you can square up with me any day I want.
You remember this conversation when you found out that they were sleeping together?
Absolutely not, Your Honor. I had my
Before
suspicions.
Timothy was born.
Before Timothy was born, no. I had my suspicions, but I never had, concrete evidence that they was actually sleeping around.
Grab your tissues for this one. Mr. Montgomery shares a tear-jerking account of Timothy's birth, his instant connection with the newborn, and his eagerness to embrace fatherhood, despite the swirling paternity doubts. This emotional whirlwind is far from over. Keep watching as tensions rise.
I'm sitting there, I'm holding him for the first time, I bring him to, her face, so she can see him because she had a C-section. I'm sitting there crying. I even told myself that, when he was born, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. Was I nervous? No, I was excited because the simple fact of the matter, I was told that I was gonna be and unlike most men, I was damn proud to hear that I was gonna be a father.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Parker drops a truth bomb, admitting she only told Mr. Montgomery about the potential other father weeks after the birth, further stirring the emotional pot. The climax of this courtroom drama is fast approaching, and it's a doozy.
Where's your proof?
At what point do you tell Mr. Montgomery, excuse me, there was another man in the picture?
3 weeks after he was born?
No,
Your Honor.
that.
But this is because during that time, Your Honor, that he had threatened to Timothy.
Your Honor, she
without
told
her
me
knowledge,
this in the
and
bed
take him
after
to Cleveland.
First time she was able to have sex after the baby was born. She waited until after we were done to sit there and
No, I had
tell
to.
him, I don't think you're the father. I think, Luke's the father.
As the moment of truth nears, the courtroom is thick with anticipation. Everyone is on edge as they await the DNA test results that will undoubtedly flip lives upside down. The envelope, please, and get ready for a reveal that will rock the courtroom.
Jerome, I'm ready for the results. Thank you. Will you please stand in between them for the reading of the results? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostic.
And boom goes the dynamite. The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Montgomery, you are not the father. Mr. Lanou, you are the father.
Can you believe what just happened? Mr. Tillman starts off by claiming that his biological daughter, Annetta, vanished from his life 3 decades ago, prompting his request for a DNA test to verify his paternity amid doubts stirred by Mr. Johnson. You think this is wild? Just wait for the next part.
Mr. Tillman, you claim your biological daughter, Annetta Tillman, disappeared out of your life 30 years ago, and you haven't seen her since. Now, paternity doubts have led to your petition for a DNA test to prove you are her father.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Johnson steps into the spotlight as a pivotal character in this paternity drama. He shares his long-standing connection with Annetta's mother during her conception time and hopes today's DNA results will crown him as her biological father. Buckle up, this roller coaster is just getting started.
You are the reason for those paternity doubts. You also had a sexual relationship with Miss Tillman's mother at the time of conception and hope today's DNA results prove you are the biological father because you raised her.
And the plot thickens. Mr. Tillman delves into his rather casual relationship with Annetta's mother, starting as a friendship and spiraling into complexity when he discovered she was also involved with other men, Mr. Johnson included. You'll want to stick around because this tangled web is about to get even messier.
So you discovered she was also in a relationship with Mr. Johnson.
I didn't necessarily know that they were in a relationship, but I knew he was dealing with somebody else other than myself.
So Mr. Johnson, you were also in a relationship with the same woman?
Yes, Your Honor. When I met her, she wasn't working, and I was working at a bakery, so I got her a job there. She didn't have a way to get to work. I drove her to work and then took her back home and stuff. I only met Mr. Tillman briefly, one time. It was at a rooming house.
Twist alert. As we dive deeper, the court explores the complicated relationships at the time of Annetta's conception. Mr. Johnson claims ignorance of any real connection to Mr. Tillman beyond a fleeting meeting, adding layers to this mystery. And just when you think you've heard it all, there's more chaos to come.
Did you know about Mr. Tillman?
No, I only met him that one time, dropping her off home from work.
Do you remember this encounter?
He seen me more than once, because he's the one that came and told me when CC was in the hospital having, remember that?
What did Miss Tillman's mother tell you about
She came to my
pregnancy?
apartment one morning after we had been separated, I guess about maybe for almost 5 months. When she showed up at my door, she was pregnant, you know, I in a joking way asked her, you know, what happened to her, and when she told me she was pregnant, it was mine.
Did you catch that bombshell? During a heated discussion, Mr. Johnson admits to having a sexual encounter with Annetta's mother on the very day she also was with Mr. Tillman, casting major doubts about who the real father could be. The stakes are high, and the next revelation is even more startling.
It's like Esther told me that you had sex with her that morning, around about
sex
12
with who?
o'clock. With Cece.
That's Miss Tillman's mother.
Yes, that's her
Okay.
mother. She told me she had sex with you that around about 12 o'clock. And I had stopped by there around about 3 something, and me and her had sex.
I don't remember.
Time for a curveball. Annetta Tillman enters the courtroom. Both gentlemen recognize the chance they might be her dad. Yet Annetta is puzzled since she's only ever seen Mr. Johnson as a father figure. Her reaction to the unfolding drama is something you don't want to miss.
Jerome, would you please escort Miss Tillman into the courtroom, please? Hello, Ms. Tillman. Thank you for being here. Stand over at the podium. Both of these men say that there's a possibility that they are your biological father. Who do you think your biological father is?
Honestly, Judge, I have no idea. My whole life, I've had Mr. Tillman's last name, but this is a gentleman I've never met before.
You have never, in your recollection, met Mr. Tillman before?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Grab your popcorn. This is getting good. Mr. Tillman recounts his early involvement in Annetta's life, insisting he was around until mysterious circumstances led to her being sent away. This tale of disappearing acts and hidden truths is about to reveal even more, so keep watching.
After your mother and him sent you to Georgia, I lost contact with you.
But you know my name, you know my
I came back several times trying to find you, and I don't know.
How could you not find me?
I couldn't find you.
I mean, Mr. Johnson, it's a
Mr. Johnny
possibility
and your
that
mother was full of crap,
he
right?
was
Full of crap?
Yeah.
You said you used to pick her up
Yes.
when she was little and take her to work.
I'm the one I gave her
I don't-
first birthday party.
You won't believe this twist. The DNA results for
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tillman, you are her father.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Mr. Scott doubts being the father of Ms. Kalon's 4-month-old daughter, Ezra. He hopes the paternity test will clear his name. The tension is palpable as he states his intention, clearly affected by the situation. Grab your popcorn. The drama is just heating up.
You're here today denying you fathered the defendant, Miss Kalon's 4-month-old daughter, Ezra, and today's paternity results will clear your name. You claim the plaintiff was excited when he found out you were pregnant, but then only a few months before you gave birth, Mr. Scott disappeared.
You think that was something? Just watch. Ms. Kalon accuses Mr. Scott of being unfaithful throughout their relationship, revealing that he had other relationships while they were together. This revelation adds a layer of complexity to their dispute, suggesting a deeper history of mistrust. Strap in. The roller coaster of revelations isn't over yet.
Because you've since learned he was in another relationship.
Plenty of them, I've
the
heard.
Entire time you were together. Claim to
true, though. I
Mr.
wasn't in a
Scott's
relationship when I was
petition
with her.
for a paternity test is for $2,260 for child care expenses.
Did someone say plot twist? In addition to the paternity dispute, Ms. Kalon files a counterclaim against Mr. Scott for $2,260 to cover childcare expenses and repayment of loans. This financial aspect introduces another level of contention between the parties, emphasizing the stakes involved. You won't believe what's coming up next.
She went to sleep. I happened to go through her phone. I went through her phone.
On the first night you guys had a date?
The reason why I went through your phone, the reason why I went through your phone,
He had no reason to go to my phone.
her phone didn't ring all day,
My
so I got
daughter, my
suspicious.
kids.
Guess what happens next? A surprising revelation occurs when Mr. Scott admits to going through Ms. Kalon's phone on the first night they met, suspecting her of infidelity. This invasive action sets the stage for ongoing trust issues and conflicts between them. Brace yourself. The truth is about to come out.
Their progress, I looked at my peripheral on how she did it, so I got her password.
Oh, wow.
I got her.
And you know why he does
Inspector
this?
Gadget.
Yeah, I had to
Go
me in my
figure.
previous relationship,
Yeah.
so I went through her phone, and prior to us, I see that she had other text messages from other men.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Ms. Kalon confirms that Mr. Scott was the only person she was involved with during the time of conception, asserting her belief in his paternity without doubt. Her firm stance challenges Mr. Scott's suspicions and frames the emotional climax of the episode. The results are next, and you won't want to miss this.
We
Saying she
had
got
sex a
pregnant
good
the
5
first time
times.
she came to visit.
Obviously,
For real,
I'm-
I mean, don't get it twisted. We had sex a good 5 times that night. Yes.
Yes,
Don't let him sit here and play the
another
role.
fact I
I'm playing
didn't
the
hear.
role. Yeah, I
okay.
took you. I
Right.
never said that. I
Right.
took you down. Yeah, I did.
Now I'm starting to believe this was part of your scheme or plan to get to her phone.
Are you ready for the big reveal? The court prepares to reveal the results of the paternity test.
Mr. Scott, you are not father.
I apologize. I could be woman enough to apologize and keep it moving.
Can you even handle this? We're just getting started. Judge Lake opens the session by discussing the claims of Mr. Poravecchio against Ms. Touche and her daughter, Ms. Lutz. He accuses them of fraudulently receiving $150,000 from his father's death settlement, claiming Ms. Lutz is not his biological sister. Mr. Poravecchio seeks a DNA test to potentially reclaim this settlement. If you thought this was juicy, just wait for the next bit. It's a doozy.
Mr. Poravecchio, you claim that the defendants, Touche and her daughter, Ms. Lutz, fraudulently received $100,000 in settlement money from the death of your father, Ricky Poravecchio Sr. Because Ms. Lutz is not your biological sister and her mother covered up that fact. You've petitioned this court for a DNA test and hope to pursue a claim in your home state to have the money returned to your family.
Buckle up, this ride's getting bumpy. The narrative details the circumstances of Ricky Poravecchio Sr.'s death, which was ruled an accidental drowning while he was working on a tugboat. The dispute revolves around the distribution of the settlement money and the paternity of Ms. Lutz, with Mr. Poravecchio suspecting that the death benefits were wrongly awarded. Just when you think you've seen it all, the plot thickens even more. Stick around.
Been defrauded by the defendant.
My father was on a tugboat working and he drowned. Accidental death is what it's said on his death certificate.
That's what it was.
It's declared as accidental death, drowned.
So let me understand, your father at the time was married?
My mom. Me.
Ms.
Laura
Touche.
I feel the settlement was awarded to Miss Touche. Had a maiden name. Her mother's Touche as a maiden name, Theo.
The emotions are running high here, folks. Ms. Lutz passionately defends her paternity and discusses the family dynamics following her father's death. She recounts memories of her father, indicating a close familial bond before his untimely death, which contrasts sharply with the current familial tensions centered around inheritance and paternity questions. Keep your eyes peeled. The next part is even more electrifying.
Excuse me? I was there.
matter.
You were not.
Okay.
My mom and my dad were separated, right, when he died.
And just living apart. There was no
Right.
legality
They
to
were
it
not
at all.
divorced, never.
No.
I was not
Never
divorced.
Okay, Mr. Poravecchio, you brought a couple of witnesses. You are Mr. Poravecchio standing here, his aunt.
Never denied me either. This is the first first time hearing about this a few weeks ago because I have never heard that I was not a poor vecchio until I got into it on Facebook.
Did someone say plot twist? A significant escalation occurs when Ms. Cortez, Mr. Poravecchio Sr.'s sister, testifies. She suggests that Ms. Touche had an affair, which Mr. Poravecchio Sr. discovered, hinting at potential reasons for the family's doubt regarding Ms. Lutz's paternity. This revelation adds depth to the family's disputes and the complexities surrounding the inheritance. Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get even more turbulent.
Is that my brother walked in on her having an affair.
Oh my God. How would you know something like that? Lie.
I was told by my brother. I was 21 years old.
Dawn, you just need to stop lying and be done with that. Your Honor, this is exactly what happened. When Ricky and I first met, I was somewhere around 16 years old immediately. He's a handsome, good-looking Italian man. I just couldn't help myself. I fell in love with him.
Oh, the drama intensifies. The court discusses the implications of the allegations against Ms. Touche, who clarifies her past relationships and the circumstances under which she was accused of infidelity. This segment underscores the deep-seated mistrust and emotional turmoil within the family, affecting their relationships and perceptions of each other. Next up, the moment of truth. Prepare for a wild ride.
One of the mechanics came out of the back who was a friend of my older brother and saw me sitting there, went to the auto parts store, bought brakes for my car. When I got home is when I found out my husband was so upset. I had been gone for so long.
So what you're saying, Ms. Touche, is that's the only incident where you felt like your fidelity was...
He accused me, that was the second time he accused me.
This gentleman that they're talking about, co-worker.
This is the big reveal we've all been waiting for. Grab your popcorn. The climax of the episode occurs with the reading of the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Poravecchio and Ms. Lutt are siblings.
Thank you. Keep up the lies, Ricky. You're done. You're done, Ricky.
Thank you very much, Dawn. I wanted to show you we never had this problem until they got in the middle of us.
You're not ready for this roller coaster. Just when Mr. Devin Hines thought family get-togethers couldn't get any more dramatic, he reveals that just 2 weeks prior, he learned from the defendant, Mr. William Hines, that he might not be his biological father. This bombshell has propelled Devin to seek a paternity test to confirm the truth. But wait, the emotional turbulence is just picking up speed.
Mr. Hines, just 2 weeks ago, you were shocked when the defendant revealed to you that he is not your biological father. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is, in fact, your father.
Hang on to your seats, folks. In a jaw-dropping twist, Mr. William Hines admits he owes over $20,000 in child support, but claims he has the ace up his sleeve, evidence proving he is not Devin's biological father. He's leaning back, waiting for the DNA test results to drop. Buckle up, because what's coming next is a wild ride.
You say you are currently behind more than $20,000 in child support, but claim to have evidence to prove you've always known the truth, that you are not plaintiff's biological father, and the results will confirm that today.
Did that just happen? In a chaotic exchange, Devin recounts how the startling news came to light. Out of the blue, his father's girlfriend threw in a comment about what Devin's aunt supposedly said, hinting that Devin might not be William's son, which sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Keep your eyes peeled. The next reveal is a doozy.
As of 2 weeks ago, out of nowhere, he pops out, not even him. His girlfriend pops out and say, "Hey, won't you tell him about what his aunt said?" "What did my aunt say?" "Oh, she said you might not be mine."
You 36 years old.
And I'm looking like, huh? I kind of just blew it off, you know, like, okay, because we went on about the conversation or whatever. I didn't think too much of it. It wasn't like, oh, well, you know, this, and this, and went on with it. It kind of just died off.
You can cut the tension with a knife. Devin accuses William of being a deadbeat dad who ditched his family back in '89 and didn't bother to look back. This intense back and forth digs deep into years of built-up resentment and abandonment issues. And guess what? It's about to get even more heated.
I don't know where this come from. I've been with you for 6 years, man. An only child. And I mean, this man is the true definition of a deadbeat dad. You understand what I'm saying? Dad. The true definition. This man left his whole family in 1989.
No, I didn't
Ain't
leave
look back. Who did you leave then?
She put me out.
She put him out, the government put him out, the dog put him out. Somebody put him out, and he never looked back from 1989.
Learning about your dad from a wanted poster, Devin drops a bombshell that the first recent image he saw of his father was on a wanted poster for owing a hefty sum in child support. It's a poignant and somewhat ironic discovery given the their strained relationship. Don't go anywhere. The sparks are about to fly even higher.
We out and about. She said, look, Dick, with your father on the post. I looks up. It's a wanted poster for child support for $24,000. That's the picture that I seen of my father. That's my first time. So I said, oh, that's him? Yeah, that's him. We took down the poster board. I said,
oh my
this the only picture I got of my father is him on $24,000.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, the court starts unraveling the possible motives behind William's denial of paternity, hinting that a hefty child support backlog might be driving his claims. The plot thickens, so stay tuned for an even twistier turn next.
And for 6 years, you all began to form a real father-son relationship.
Anything that you could say of a father and son, we was there. This man, in my opinion, is weak.
He says that he never in his life knew anything different, that you were his father. But you say you knew all along. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why is it you kept that secret?
Because he got a motive. That's why.
What?
Motive. That's why he's challenging everything.
Things are getting seriously intense. Amid rising stakes, Devin explains how he had to step up and make critical medical decisions for William while he was in a coma, highlighting the painful complexities of their relationship. The emotional roller coaster is far from over, so strap in for more.
I had to sign for aftercare, everything.
No, I didn't.
Because when you woke up, you was, oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. But at the same time, you thank me for being there, and I'm the only one that was there. The one that brought it up to me that, oh, you might not be his because of what she said. She wasn't there.
So you're doing the right thing, and you're being a son, and you're taking care of your father. That he's your biological son.
Because his mother cheated on me.
She did.
A lot of times.
Enter the lioness defending her cub. Brenda Hines, Devin's mother, storms into the courtroom and instantly challenges William's version of the story, defending her son and accusing her husband of lying about everything. This fiery exchange adds another explosive layer to the drama. And believe it or not, the climax is just around the corner.
Please escort her into the courtroom.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Hines. Your son, Devin, says your husband told him that he's not his biological father.
He's a liar. He's lying about everything.
I'm not lying.
Please explain.
For one thing, 2 weeks ago, you got a letter saying that you getting an increase on your Social Security.
I did not get no letters like that.
Finally, the moment of truth everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test results are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hines, you are the father.
Dang, you didn't cheat on me.
Can you believe this twist? Ms. Lapine drops a bombshell at a family gathering, revealing that a relative told her Mr. Lapine might not be her real dad. Shocked and confused by this revelation, she's driven to seek the truth in a courtroom, grappling with the serious implications it has on their lives. Meanwhile, Mr. Lapine shares his harrowing tale of being jailed over unpaid child support, coupled with the dread of a looming court date that could flip his world upside down once again based on today's paternity test results. Brace yourselves. The emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
For the past 30 years, you'd always believed the defendant, Mr. Lapine, was your dad. Then just months ago at a family dinner, you were told by a family member that he's not your biological father. Mr. Lapine, you say you've spent years in jail for unpaid child support. You could be locked up again if today's results prove you are indeed Ms. Lapine's biological father.
Talk about a family drama. In a heartfelt recount, Ms. Lapine narrates the dinner table conversation that ignited doubts about who her father really is. As she confronts family members, she's met with evasion and vague responses, fueling her confusion and distress. Determined, she reaches out to Mr. Lapine the next day, sparking doubts in his mind too, based on his whereabouts during the supposed conception period. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's coming next in this familial saga.
We was at a family dinner and we was all just discussing how our parents was. Then family members started saying that, well, you don't know if he's your dad or not because you don't look like your dad and he might not be your dad.
Had you ever heard of anything like this?
No, Your Honor. I went to another family member and asked if this was true.
This part hits right in the feels. Mr. Lapine lays bare his struggles with imprisonment over unpaid child support, revealing the high stakes with his freedom on the line. He voices his turmoil about possibly being Ms. Lapine's biological father, a fact that could send him back to jail. This disclosure paints a vivid picture of his ongoing battles and the ever-present threat of incarceration. As the tension mounts, stay tuned because the revelations are about to get even more jaw-dropping.
You believe this young girl was your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. And I've been 4 to 5 years in jail. It gets rough.
For unpaid child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
For a young woman that calls you, family member told me you may not even be my biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You actually have a court date tomorrow
1:30 tomorrow afternoon.
concerning the child support for this young woman that you're still behind on.
Yes, ma'am.
You won't see this coming. As the court drama unfolds, Ms. Lepine's half-sister Jennifer steps into the narrative, shedding light on her own perceptions of the ongoing family drama and the paternity doubts that have haunted their family for years. Jennifer's emotional account highlights deep-seated issues and the significant impact of these paternity doubts on their family relationships. This segment underlines the messy, emotional weight of the situation, affecting more than just the primary parties involved. Fasten your seatbelts. The emotional stakes are about to escalate even further.
Jerome, I think it's time we meet her. Please escort her in.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us. And your name?
Jennifer Lepine.
Mr. Lepine is your father?
Yes.
And you grew up believing Brandy was your sister. So when did you hear about there being any doubt?
I mean, we were always teased about it, but...
Who would tease you?
It's just different family members.
This segment is a real tearjerker. Delving deeper, Mr. Lepine expresses regret over his past decisions, especially the years he missed in his daughter's lives due to his stints in jail for child support issues. He reflects on how his absence has impacted his relationships with his daughters and the broader family dynamics, illuminating the personal and emotional costs of his legal troubles. The emotional intensity shows no signs of letting up. What happens next might just leave you speechless.
Where I've been paying child support,
Yeah.
I'd go to the courthouse and pay.
Jerome, please pass
I
me
would
that
have
evidence.
it taken out of my paychecks and everything else. I would go to the courthouse and make them take it out of my paychecks all the time. They go back.
Record after record.
They go back to 1998. Some spots in there that aren't there, I was in jail.
For unpaid child support.
Yes, ma'am.
And with a court date tomorrow, the stakes, they really can't be any higher because they could send you back to jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Grab the tissues for this one. As the courtroom drama approaches its climax, Ms. Opfer, Mr. Lepine's partner, shares the profound emotional and practical challenges the family faces each time Mr. Lepine is taken away to jail. Her testimony adds another layer to the ongoing struggle, highlighting how the paternity issue and related legal battles affect the extended family, including children from other relationships. The culmination of this court battle is nearly upon us, and it's bound to be a stunner.
It's been hard because every time Richard goes to jail, and not only do Brandy and Jennifer lose their father again, but also my 4 children.
You all are in a relation.
26 years.
Yes, ma'am.
26 years.
Yeah. Say they lose their father, and my children call him dad. Everybody suffers.
And your fear is he's going to go back to jail tomorrow if these results prove that he is Brandy's biological father.
Well, it's...
Are you ready for this? The courtroom is on edge as the DNA test results are finally revealed.
Jennifer Lepine. Mr. Richard Lepine, you are her father. Ms. Brandy Lepine. Ms. Lepine, Mr. Richard Lepine is not your biological father.
Can you believe what just unfolded? Ms. Tucker steps into the courtroom with a bombshell claim that Mr. Hunter might actually be her biological father, a secret kept under wraps by her mother until a decade ago. As she lays down the challenge to prove her paternity, Mr. Hunter confesses his doubts about being her dad due to the distance he's kept. But folks, buckle up because the revelations are just starting to heat up.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father. Prove to Mr. Hunter that he is your dad.
This next bit is absolutely bonkers. As the court listens intently, Ms. Tucker pours her heart out, explaining her years of identity struggles and her attempts at resolving them through DNA tests that Mr. Hunter skipped. Her tale of emotional chaos paints a vivid picture of a life overshadowed by uncertainty. And guess what? The emotional roller coaster doesn't stop here.
You admit you have distanced yourself from the plaintiff because you have serious doubts you are her father. Miss Tucker, you admit you initially lied to your daughter, but claim you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he is her father.
Here's where it gets spicy. Adrian, Ms. Tucker's mother, finally admits to fabricating the story about her daughter's paternity, but claims that both she and Mr. Hunter were in on the true story all along. The court is left navigating a tangled mess of lies and half-truths that have cast long shadows over Ms. Tucker's life. And just when you think you've heard it all, the plot thickens even more.
I wanted to find out who her father really is also.
You don't believe you are?
Well, I had doubts because her mother told me that I wasn't 30 years ago, so.
Mom, Miss Tucker, you hear your daughter speak?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he was her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there something you haven't told your daughter?
I told her that someone else was her father at the time.
in order to protect her. I felt like Mr. Hunter was not a good role model.
You won't see this twist coming. During a seemingly mundane trip to the store, Ms. Tucker bumps into a family friend who drops a name she's never heard before, throwing Mr. Hunter right into the middle of her already chaotic paternity saga. As Ms. Tucker grapples with this new potential lead, the story dives deeper into a labyrinth of family secrets. Up next, Mr. Hunter takes the stage, and you won't believe what he has to say.
I was in the 7th grade. Where we're from is very small, so I was at a store, and there's a woman who knows them both, and she told me, she said, "You look just like your dad." Naturally, I'm thinking she's talking about the other gentleman. So I go, "Oh, you know my dad?" And I said his name, and she goes, "That's not your dad." That's when she said Mr. Hunter's name, and that was the first I have ever heard of him. So I went home, and I did tell my mom what she said, but my mom just said she was lying.
Hang on to your seats. Mr. Hunter's backstory is a doozy, reflecting on his past relationship with Adrian. He shares how he was led to believe he wasn't the father of her child, prompting him to steer clear for years. His return to North Carolina is fueled by swirling rumors of his paternity, which he had initially dismissed. Just when you think you've caught your breath, another curveball is about to be thrown.
You were dating exclusively? You were boyfriend and girlfriend, or just...
Yeah, for a short while. But when she told me she was pregnant, she said the baby wasn't mine. I left and I got my life together. 15, 16 years, I came back to North Carolina hearing rumors that she was mine. So what am I supposed to do when someone tells me I'm not the father?
I was in middle school, and the young woman that is like his daughter, I guess he was there to pick her up, and they called me out of class. This was the first day I ever saw him.
Get ready for a jaw dropper. The courtroom is thrown for a loop when it comes out that Mr. Hunter had a fling with Adrian's sister, adding a scandalous layer to the already complex narrative. This bombshell revelation reshapes the entire dynamic of the case, making everyone question what they know. Stay tuned, because the next revelation is a real showstopper.
How are you the only one that don't know?
Did it have something to do with another situation that we were in? She was
What
mad
situation?
about?
We here now. I mean, I could see the look on your face right now. I know it's got to be something else. What's the situation?
Well, I had met a young lady, and come to find out it was Adrian's sister. And I thought that about that.
So you slept with her sister?
Prepare for the unexpected. The DNA test results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by the court. Mr. Hunter, you are not the father. I'm sorry, Adriana.
It's okay.
Ms. Nesbitt and Mr. Henderson are at the center of today's drama. Ms. Nesbitt is here to prove that Mr. Henderson is indeed the father of her 7-month-old daughter, Zion. She's fired up and ready for him to take responsibility once the results are in. Buckle up, Mr. Henderson's response is just around the corner.
Ms. Nesbitt, you are suing to prove to Mr. Henderson that he is the father of your 7-month-old daughter, Zion. You say that when the results prove you right, you expect Mr. Henderson to step up.
This next bit is a doozy. Mr. Henderson throws a curveball by expressing his doubts about being Zion's dad, blaming Ms. Nesbitt's close encounters with the neighbor during the crucial conception period. He's convinced he's not the father and has barely lifted a finger for Zion because of these doubts. Hang tight, the plot thickens from here.
Mr. Henderson, you claim your case is simple. You say Ms. Nesbitt cheated on you with her neighbor during the window of conception. He is Zion's biological father. So, Ms. Nesbitt, what has Mr. Henderson done so far for Zion?
Well, he buy her diapers, that's about it. He doesn't do anything for my child but buy her diapers. He does more for my 2-year-old son that he knows that's not his, than his own daughter.
Now, here's a plot twist for you. Out of the blue, we learn Mr. Henderson secretly went behind Ms. Nesbitt's back to sign the birth certificate, despite her explicit doubts about his paternity. It was a sneaky move, aimed at staking his claim, possibly before even he was sure about the facts. Keep your eyes peeled. The courtroom's about to heat up with reactions.
You know the baby yours.
Yes, I did, because
he did what, Ms. Nesbitt?
I went downstairs to go get my birth certificate. His name was on there. I told him not to put his name on there because I had doubts beginning, but he snuck anyways and signed his name on there.
You had asked him previously not to sign it because you had doubts yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait till you get a load of this. Delving deeper into the saga, the judge questions Mr. Henderson's motives for signing the birth certificate under such murky circumstances. He admits his actions were driven by a mix of emotion and a desperate grab for paternal rights, a real soap opera move. The upcoming testimony will throw you for a loop.
Do you remember having the conversation with Ms. Nesbitt that said, don't sign it just yet because it may not be yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
You remember that conversation, and you signed it anyway?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he even lied to his father and told him that he got a DNA at the hospital when he didn't.
Why would you tell your dad you had a DNA test and you didn't?
Because I didn't want him all in my business.
Oh, Your Honor, that's a lie. He told me that he signed the birth certificate so he can have rights of the baby, so he can get custody of the baby.
Can you feel the tension in the air? Ms. Nesbitt unveils the roots of her suspicions, which involve Mr. Henderson's past fling with his own cousin, stirring up a storm of vulnerability and betrayal. This emotional turmoil led her straight into the arms and and apartment of Mr. Brown, the neighbor, for a one-off night that started with a comforting hug and escalated quickly. Don't go anywhere. It's about to get even more entangled.
Well, let me tell you how it all began. He had sex with his cousin, and I felt very vulnerable about it. And
yes, I did, but that was before her. She already knew about that.
yes, let me tell you how it all began. You know, I received the inbox telling me she said that she had sex with my little black car and they had a baby. And I felt very astounded about it.
She told you before that when you was sitting in the car with your friend, when y'all left from the Riverwalk.
No, that's not true, and you got her
Yes,
pregnant.
it is. It's true, Your Honor.
Things are getting spicy now. Mr. Brown steps into the courtroom to give his side of the story. He confirms the one-night stand with Ms. Nesbitt, but insists it was just a fleeting moment of weakness. Their ongoing flirty texts, however, suggest it might not have been as straightforward as he claims. Strap in. His testimony is stirring the pot big time.
So at this time, the court would like to call Mr. Brown. Jerome, would you please escort Mr. Brown into the courtroom? I'd like to hear from him.
Come on.
Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Brown, we're here, of course, discussing the paternity as it relates to baby Zion. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Ms. Nesbitt.
I had first met her. She had moved to my apartment, been a couple doors down. I used to always flirt with her, to blink an eye at her, you know what I'm saying? Because she was a cute girl, you know? She was
She was a nice friend, that's about it.
You won't see this coming. Mr. Brown recounts that fateful night, starting with a comforting shoulder and ending in a full-blown scandal. He thought he was being a good neighbor by offering a massage, but things went 0 to 60 before the night was over. Ms. Nesbitt later drops the bombshell that the condom broke, which really complicates the narrative. The courtroom's about to explode with reactions. Watch out.
At this point, you've been honest with both men.
Yes.
And they both know they are potential fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Baby Zion is born, and who steps up to the plate for her?
I stepped up to the plate for her, Your Honor.
it ain't my baby, so I ain't stepping up to no place.
So, Mr. Brown, you said it's not your...
I had a condom on, and look at her. She looked just like him. She a beautiful baby. She looked just like him, you know what I'm saying?
Get ready for the climax. The atmosphere is electric as everyone braces for the DNA results. The stakes are high, emotions are running wild, and both men are on edge, each hoping for a different outcome that could change their lives forever. The big reveal is just moments away, and it's going to be a jaw-dropper.
You've admitted that. That's why this courtroom exists. And some mothers come in here and they will say, and Jerome can attest to this, no, I know for certain it was nobody else. You came into court and said, look, I have a dilemma. I did sleep with 2 men during the window of conception, and I need an answer, and I have those answers for you. Are you ready for the results?
Yes.
Your Honor.
All right, roll the envelope, please.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The results are in, and the DNA test shows
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are not her father.
Oh, hey, I'm told
Okay,
you.
sit down, Mr. Brown.
What is
Mr.
that?
Calm down. Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Told you was her father from the beginning.
Can you believe what just popped off? Miss Tillis throws a curveball by accusing Mr. Jellick of fathering her 2-month-old son, Jadence, and then skipping out, leaving them in financial ruin. She's pinning her hopes on today's DNA test to prove that Jellick is indeed the dad. Mr. Jellick, however, is adamant he's not the father, backing his claim with what he calls solid medical evidence. Strap in, because the courtroom drama is about to heat up even more.
You claim the defendant got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 2-month-old son, Jadence, leaving you in financial distress. You claim today's DNA test will prove that he is Jadence's father. Mr. Jellick, you say you are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father.
This segment hits right in the feels. Miss Tillis opens up about the hefty emotional and financial burdens she's been shouldering since Jadence arrived. She paints a picture of a total lack of support from Mr. Jellick from day one, highlighting her solo struggle to stay afloat while out of work. The judge offers a sympathetic ear, acknowledging how tough it is to juggle postpartum challenges and a tight budget. The revelations get even juicier in the next bit.
He has done nothing for my child.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Not a dollar?
Not a dollar.
Tell the court what that has been like.
Struggling. I have to do it all by myself. I'm not working right now.
So precious. Miss Tillis, I know this has been difficult. I can only imagine. I'm a mother. 2 months in, you are still dealing with postpartum issues.
Here's where the backstory gets spicy. We dive into the roller coaster history between Miss Tillis and Mr. Jellick. They first crossed paths in college, sparking a casual relationship centered around hair braiding that eventually led to them living together. Mr. Jellick describes their dynamic as a situationship, providing room and board while she handled his hair, but insists it was nothing serious. Buckle up, because their past connection is about to stir up a storm.
Basically, we had a conversation, and like I
told her I refuse to take up the next man's slack for a child that's not mine. We wasn't even having relations when she got pregnant.
What was the nature of your relationship?
We were having sex because we got history.
What's the history?
When I moved to Oklahoma City from my home state, I was going to college for my associates in business where I met Miss Tillis.
Things are getting heated now. As the court delves deeper, conflicts in their relationship start to surface. Miss Tillis accuses Mr. Jellick of being overly jealous and controlling, an accusation he counters by bringing up her ongoing contacts with an ex. This back and forth casts doubts on their relationship's exclusivity during Jadence's conception period. Wait till you see how this tangled web unravels further.
I pay all bills, I pay all rent. You do my hair, so you can't trip on what company comes through my front door.
No, Your Honor.
That's the situation.
This is a first. This is a first. Jerome, I've never heard of this.
Me either.
In-house braider.
Brand new.
With benefits. Something to me is not adding up. So you move in. Do you think this is your boyfriend when you move in?
He made me feel like I was his woman.
You won't believe this twist. Attention shifts to the murky timeline of Jadence's conception. Miss Tillis lays out a timeline that suggests some overlapping romantic entanglements with Mr. Jellick and another man, leading to a heated debate about the reliability of the birth control used during these encounters. This doubt about paternity sets the stage for a deep dive into genetic markers.
Can I show you my pregnancy timeline?
Oh, you brought some evidence. Yes, please step up. I want to get this story.
This is the conception date that the sonogram lady gave me. Me and Mr. Jellick messed around in October.
More like early September.
No,
this around the time she got
it
a car.
was in the middle of October.
Work with
the
home
end
health.
of October, I messed with the other man.
Wait, say that again?
The middle of October, I messed with him without protection.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Jellick?
The end of October, it was the other man.
Now, here's a genetic curveball for you. Mr. Jellick introduces a unique physical trait argument, noting that a specific feature, preauricular sinus, prevalent in his family, is conspicuously absent in Jaden's. He argues that this lack of familial trait indicates he's likely not the dad. But hold your horses. An expert's about to throw a wrench into this theory.
I went to the hospital when he was like 3 days old. She called me, and I went out there and I looked at him, and I picked him up, looked at him.
Yeah, he was looking at my baby like, examining my baby in the light.
But the first thing I'm looking for is our trait. I don't see it.
He examining a pineapple or something at the grocery store, looking at it in the light and turning it upside down. Is that how you did the baby, Mr. Jellick?
It wasn't that physical, but I mean, I gave him a good look over.
Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, enter Dr. Samantha Brown Parks, who sheds light on the genetic inheritance of the preauricular sinus. She explains that while it is a dominant trait, each child has only a 50% chance of inheriting it, meaning Mr. Jellick's argument might not hold as much water as he thought. The stakes are high, and the courtroom is buzzing with anticipation as we edge closer to the big reveal.
We are dealing with paternity question Mr. Jellick has concerning a physical condition he commonly calls a wisdom hole, which he has presented evidence to this court. I've now learned it's called preauricular sinus.
Yes.
I know it's rare. Can you shed light on this and as to whether or not this is truly relevant in this paternity question?
So a preauricular sinus is a small hole or opening that's a birth defect. It happens in less than 1% of the population and traditionally is inherited.
Brace yourself for the grand finale. The courtroom is on edge as the DNA test results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jellick, you are the father.
You won't believe what's up next. The tension in the room escalates quickly. Miss Nadeau opens up about her dilemma, revealing she slept with 2 lifelong best friends and is unsure which one is the father of her 2-year-old son, Cameron. This confession sets the stage for the emotional and complex revelations that follow. The uncertainty has significant emotional implications for all involved, especially since the men are close friends. Strap in, because this roller coaster is just starting to climb. Here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Santilli expresses his heartbreak, which began 2 years ago when Miss Nadeau disclosed her affair with his best friend on Christmas Eve. He is devastated by the possibility that his son might actually be his best friend's child. The audience reacts with murmurs, highlighting the shocking and painful nature of the revelation. Just wait, the tea is about to spill even more.
You, the best friend and second potential father, Mr. Zara, will be joining us momentarily.
Brace yourselves for some emotional turbulence. Everyone braces for more startling revelations. Miss Nadeau recounts the emotional circumstances under which the affair with Mr. Zara happened, including the death of a significant family member. She describes how grief and support from Mr. Zara led to their intimacy. This moment reveals the complex interplay of emotions and relationships at play, further complicated by Mr. Santilli's reaction to the unfolding events. If you thought that was intense, just wait until you see what's coming up.
The girl upstairs.
You're not going to believe this next bit. In a critical turn, Miss Nadeau and Mr. Zara acknowledge their relationship began the day Mr. Santilli's grandfather passed away. They went out for drinks after the funeral, which led to them sleeping together. This admission clarifies the timeline and deepens the emotional entanglement, as it happened amid significant personal loss. And yes, there's more drama ahead. Keep your eyes peeled. Get ready for a deep dive into the feels. This moment is heart-wrenching. As the discussion unfolds, it becomes clear that there is a profound emotional conflict and a tangled web of relationships and responsibilities. Mr. Santilli discusses the emotional toll of potentially not being Cameron's father, expressing how deeply he's connected to the child. The personal stakes are high, and the emotional distress is palpable, illustrating the deep impact of the paternity uncertainty. The emotional climax is just around the corner, so don't go anywhere.
And